most of the highest damaging characters in games are projectile heroes. And this is balanced out by the fact that most people struggle to aim on projectile heroes. But what if I told you it's one simple technique change that separates you from aiming perfectly with hit scan heroes like Hela and Punisher to aiming perfectly with projectile heroes like Bucky, Namor, and even Hawkeye? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this episode of Shoddy's Yap Session. And the good thing is the way you do it on console and PC is very similar. So you won't have to worry about which platform you're on. And I'll be giving you guys a routine to work on it as well by the end of the video. So let's get right into it. First thing is, what's a projectile hero, or how do you check if your character's a projectile hero? Well, long story short, projectile heroes are just characters that when you shoot their weapon, the weapon doesn't instantly do damage. So an easy way for most people to check this is go into the practice range, go super far from a target, and then shoot the target. If the damage pops up the second you click, they're a hit scan character. If your damage pops up a little while after you click, then they're a projectile character. Unless, let's say, a year from now after this video comes out, I don't know, they release some character that does delayed damage or whatever, and then I guess a little different, you know? Maybe it is hit scan, it's just, it hits them and then it takes a second to explode or whatever. But as of right now, that doesn't exist yet, so we're good. Now, the important question is, why are they so difficult? Even someone like Hawkeye, the devs think that the character is so difficult, or aiming with projectile heroes is so difficult, that they allow him to have a one-shot headshot. Now, whether or not you think that's a good idea or that's just terrible balancing or whatever you think it is, the truth is, if they gave that to Hela, Hela would have 75% win rate, or 100% ban rate, or 100% pick rate. So why doesn't Hawkeye have 100% ban rate? Why doesn't Hawkeye have 100% pick rate? Because of the projectile. So there must be something pretty difficult for most people to play him with. The biggest problem I usually see is the movement prediction portion of it. Because if there's a projectile, think about it like you're throwing a ball. If you're trying to hit something that's moving super quickly and you throw a ball at where you see it right now, you'll never hit the ball. Unless the ball is, let's say, hit scans. And if you guys don't know, who is this guy? Why is he talking about aim? What does he know? I've been coaching aim now for over a year, and the aim of most players isn't actually bad, right? It's just a lot of techniques that they've never trained. If you saw my last video about aim, and it was my little Khan Academy video, basically, I was sitting there drawing this and that and showing, oh, well, you segment your aim, or you do this or do that. That's the fundamental technique of aiming. And if you didn't see it, I'll talk about it in a little bit and give you guys a refresher. But the whole point of aim is, in the simplest form, ooga booga, me see target, me put mouse on target. And because of that, I have people focus on the pure technique of ooga booga, get mouse on target. The problem is, most people don't apply that for projectile heroes. They play a projectile hero and then they just start spam clicking or flicking or anything. People tell me, oh, well, Hela is a flick character, or Punisher isn't, he's a tracking character. The problem with that is it's not exactly correct. There is no such thing as a flick character, really. Most of the time, you don't want to be flicking. And here, let me show you the example I normally give. So, if you've ever sat there and you've played on a computer or whatever, you sit there and use a desktop, let's talk about the minimize and the X button. With the minimize and the X button, if I had to tell you, make one consistent straight line perfectly between both of these, most people, after maybe one or two tries, can consistently do this, right? Just back, forth, landing on both of them. No effort, nothing, you know? Even since we were kids, most people who grew up with PCs could do this. But if I told you, let's say, I'm going to draw this over here. If I told you go from this dot right here over to the edit and paint button and do it perfectly in one straight line, without stopping, without anything, most people can't do it. Look, let's say if I try, I stop right here. So I undershoot, then I'll try it again. Now I overshot. Now I'm over at the full screen button. So most people can't do this. But if I told you do it in two different segments, so I told you get close enough and then to do it, you could probably do it. You do bang, and then you do bang. And you see, I landed right on it. If I just try to do one though, I can't. See, I even stopped right here. It's not easy, right? The whole goal of aiming isn't flick or do this or do that. Most of aiming, unless let's say you get caught off guard and you have to flick or whatever, should be you see your crosshair right here. Well, let's say you see a target right here, and then you see your crosshair right here. You decide, how close are we? Okay, we're far apart. So make a flick, get close enough, and then micro adjust. Everything should be a micro adjustment in terms of what you're going to do when you're actually hitting them. And a micro adjustment, long story short, is a tiny adjustment. So going from the minimize to the X button, that's a micro adjustment, one really small adjustment. And small adjustments, like we saw, are easy to be consistent with. So your job is turn everything into a micro. So to give you guys some examples, for example, this, one micro. You can easily just go bang, 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 perfectly. This one, maybe a micro for some people, depending on your sensitivity, but usually one movement and then a micro adjustment. So it'd be one movement, micro adjust, one movement, micro adjust. I don't care about over flicking. I don't care about straight lines. People tell you, oh, do straight lines when you're aiming. Nobody does that. Robots do it maybe. No one really sits there and says, hold on, making straight line. Look, did that even look straight? Hold on, look at this. Does that look straight to you? So it'll all be flick, micro adjust, flick, micro adjust, right? Now, these were bad examples, so let me actually do it properly. It would be get close enough. So let's say I land here, micro adjust. And you see how the distance between this and this is about the same as this and this. It's really like here, pretty close. Same thing with this. Throw your mouse, micro adjust. Throw your mouse, micro adjust. Throw your mouse, micro adjust. But someone's going to ask, what does any of this have to do with a projectile hero? Let me tell you. Now, what this has to do with projectile heroes is all projectile heroes are supposed to do this, and they're supposed to figure out where the enemy's moving and aim ahead of them. Because like we talked about earlier with the ball in the car, you have to aim where they're going, not where they are. Unless you're obviously close range, which is actually a good point. If you're close range, I see too many projectile players aiming as if their weapon shoots at like 1 mile per year. It's like, bro, the thing, he's right in your face. He's sniffing you. Why are we shooting behind him? He's right here. So when people are close, please just shoot right at them. This works for every single projectile character. I would say around 10 meters is the max for this, unless they're moving slowly. If they're moving quickly, yeah, 10 meters is the max. If they're moving slow and they're kind of bad at strafing or whatever, you can still aim right at them around 10 meters. But your job when you're aiming is see where they are, flick towards them if they're far, micro adjust to their head or wherever you're trying to hit them, and then track them to see where they are or where they're going. And this is for every character. And that actually ties into what the routine's going to be later on. I'm going to show you how you can force yourself to start tracking enemies before your shots. But first, if you guys made it this far in the video, first of all, I'd like to say thank you. Second, this video I actually recorded last month, but I wasn't able to upload it because the audio was terrible, like really, really bad. So I learned a few new things. I got some help from somebody, and I think it's a lot better. Well, I know it's a lot better. If you can listen to it at all, it's a million times better than what it was. And if you guys are enjoying it, I'd appreciate if you guys left a like and even a comment. Also, if you guys like free stuff, for only October, I'm giving you guys a free month of access to my lock-in tier. And what's in it is all of my guides. One is for AIM, one is for Marvel Rivals, and the other one I actually just released, and it's all of the VODs that I record of my coaching. And if you don't know, I give weekly VOD reviews for everyone in my lock-in tier. And I have unlimited Q&A in my lock-in tier. So if you want to join, you can try it out for a month free, only October, by using the code 1YEAR at checkout. And it's only $20 a month after that, if you guys do want to stay. Anyways, I love you guys. Let's get back to the video. Now, for tracking the targets, how do you do it? How do you start doing it? The first most important part is hand-eye coordination. All of AIM is pretty much hand-eye coordination. So for controllers, it's like hand-thumb coordination, you know, but for mouse and keyboard, it's directly your right hand, unless you're using your left to aim, your right hand and what you see on the screen. So you see what's going on and you react. Now, right here, I'm going to put up a clip of me playing a random sensitivity and using that random sensitivity to still aim better than 99% of players. If you look in the top left, you'll see what the sensitivity is randomizing by. So it's basically a multiplier. And you'll see how I still aim pretty good. And I haven't aim trained now in what? Almost a year. It's been about a year since I seriously started aim training. I don't even play Marvel right now. The gameplay you're probably seeing of me playing Marvel is probably either old or I just started playing today after I recorded this, you know? So this is some washed old man playing, and I still aim pretty good. All this to say, aim is hand-eye coordination, not muscle memory. So if you change your sensitivity or whatever, doesn't matter. It's all about seeing what's going on and reacting. Same way I could play with that random sensitivity, I could feel when it would slow down or speed up, and I move my arm accordingly. That's all that is. So that means you need to start using your eyes correctly. Now, in the near future, I'm probably going to release a sensitivity video talking more about me playing with that random sensitivity. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you subscribe. Trying to hit 100K subs. So using your eyes correctly, the thing about it is most people don't know where to look when they aim. So let me show you how I teach it to people. So right here is what it's like for most people to aim. Now you're looking at it like, bro, what are you talking about? This is a stupid plus with a circle around it. Okay, so have you ever looked through a telescope? If your answer is yes, you should know that when someone runs by the front of a telescope, they look like they blur by, right? They almost teleport by. But if someone's far away, and let's say super far away, and you're looking at them through the telescope, look like this. Very slow, very controlled, very easy to see. All this to say, staring at your crosshair is like looking through a telescope. And this is the reason why so many projectile hero players, or just players in general, struggle to aim. When they're playing, they're focused too much on their crosshair. So the general rule I give is when the target is close to you or moving quickly, you stare at the target. When they're far away or moving slowly, you stare at your crosshair. But this isn't fully true. I'll get more into that in a second. But when you play a projectile hero, do you sit there and say, bro, I see him moving and I can't keep up. I can't keep up. He's just strafing everywhere. He's teleporting by. Bro, I can't compete. Most of the time, this isn't like, oh, well, I got grandpa eyes, or, well, I'm 25, you know, I'm a boomer now. It's not usually that. Yeah, I've met some older players, but I just finished coaching, I think he's 40. I coached a 30-something-year-old or 40-year-old. He's probably better than most people watching this video. He's currently, in terms of aim trainer ranks, and I think he also plays Fortnite. He's Unreal in Fortnite, something like that. I think Unreal's the top rank, right? Whatever it is, he's trying to do pro tournaments or whatever. Pretty good player, right? 40s. When I met him, he was bad. Like he was bottom 20%. Now he's top 1% in most scores in terms of Kovacs, which is an aim trainer if you don't know. He's top 1% on everything. And he was bottom 20 when I first met him. And it was like 3 months. 3 months of training. It was really closer to 2 because he took a month off. But 2 months of training, about 3, and he's better than everybody else. He's better than a very large amount of players. And in the first month, he was already better than probably 30%, 40%, 50%. I think his scores were around top 80%, which means he was better than 80% of players that use aim trainers, right? Which means he's probably better than 95% of players in a real game. Because it's like going to the gym. When you go to the gym, you're going to see steroid users, people who've been doing it their whole life, people who have been working out since they popped out the womb, whatever. You'll see a lot more people like that than if you're just walking down the street. So a lot of people judge, oh, well, people who do this is how they actually look or whatever. They judge the extreme cases or a place like a gym on what the average looks like. For example, you go to a basketball game and you look at all the players and you say, I'm 6'2", but I'm microscopic because, well, you know, you see these guys, this is what so many people look like. They're 7'2" and 7'18" and this and that. I'm just so short. It's like, no, you're not, you know? So all that to say, age doesn't really matter. Age isn't what's holding you back. Deliberate practice is probably what's holding you back. And in the case of projectile heroes, using your eyes correctly is more important than everything else. Let's say there's a target right here, right? And he's standing here, and when he strafes to the right, his left shoulder, well, I guess this will be left, his left shoulder right here moves inwards. So it goes that way. Before he even starts changing directions, right? The second he hits that opposite direction key, his left shoulder moves this way, right? And you'll see that. And if you're looking at your crosshair, all you see is this, right? None of this pops up. And you're going to see him doing this. And you're a projectile hero. So you have to wait because you're not looking at his actual movements. You have to wait till he's right here to realize, okay, he's strafing left or strafing right or whatever before you can sit there and react, right? Instead, how most better players aim is staring exclusively at the target. The reason for that is if I asked you, where's the center of your screen? Most people would say somewhere in this box. If it's in this box, right? And if you're correct, let's say the crosshair, the center is actually right here. And let's say a target is right here. Can you see both of these at the same time? The answer for everybody should be absolutely, right? Unless you have telescopic lenses for eyes. So since you can see both of these at the exact same time, your job is to see it, make a flick or a micro adjustment or whatever to get close enough to it and then finish the movement. Does that make sense? But if you're staring at the crosshair exclusively, all you can see is this area. Everything around here is gone to you. It's basically all invisible. And if any of you drive, it's like staring at the bumper of the car in front of you. Most better drivers don't need to do that. The reason why is the bumper in front of me, he's not really going anywhere, you know, and your peripheral can handle that. Your peripheral should be able to tell if he's braking or whatever, or how far he is. I mean, if you're riding his back and you're right up behind him, then yeah, you got to watch his bumper. But if there's a healthy amount of car length between you guys, it's much more beneficial to look at everything else. It's the same thing with playing. Everything else has more impact than the stationary thing right in front of you. Now that we've talked everything about technique, I'm going to show you guys how to actually apply all of that. So once we head to the practice range, we're going to play Ultron, and then we're going to head down here, right over to this portal right over here, and then you hit teleport. So the reason why we're playing Ultron is, like we talked about earlier, the whole thing you want to be able to do is after you get to a target, you track until you click. And for projectile heroes, you track them, watch what they're doing, and then aim ahead of them. So first we got to work on the first part, actually tracking them before we click. So Ultron works perfectly for this. The reason why is his laser beam, it does a charge up before it hits. We're going to practice hitting this entire beam the whole time while we're tracking a target. Never getting off of them, forcing ourselves to really master the technique of getting on a target. Now, as for the settings, it goes one of two ways. If you want to practice hitting flying characters, which in season 4, when that, I don't even know her name, whatever the character is, the big flying tank girl, whenever she comes out, you'll probably want to practice her. So you're going to play Storm as the hero that you're shooting. If you're struggling with ground targets, you want to play Luna Snow or Mantis. Unless you're really struggling. If you're really struggling, you just can't do this challenge at all with Luna Snow or Mantis, then start with Punisher. So I'm going to do the flying example. I'm going to set the target distance to random, but in short range. Short range is level 1. You can think of that as easy, then you work on mid-range, then you work on long range. On top of easy for the distance, there's also movement speed difficulty. In this, obviously we're going to set it to advanced combat just so they move a lot more and it's a little bit more accurate to real games. You could just do random overall, but I find that random overall is just kind of weird. If it works for you though, use it. Doesn't really matter. Most of aim practice is just doing it. It's a lot like the gym. When you go to the gym, the guy who sits there and min-maxes everything and worries about, oh, well, I have to get this and I have to do that, but he only shows up 1 month out of the year, versus the guy who shows up 10 months out of the year, but he does terrible training, but he actually trains. The guy who shows up 10 months out of the year is usually going to be much bigger than the guy that shows up once. So just do the practice. So I do advanced combat, and this is the difficulty slider for movement speed. Normal if you're newer to it, then quick, then super fast. We only do one target, and the reason for that is we want to really focus on the aim technique. More targets will just make us start flailing a lot more and just trying to hit everything instead of really focusing on one target. Timer's a different one. The thing about timer is if you want to track your progress, you want to use the timer. If you're just trying to practice, turn it off. What I mean by track your progress is if you set timer on and let's say 60 seconds and then you get 10 points, whatever, 10 kills in that 60 seconds, and then next week you get 15 and then you get 20 and then whatever, that's how you'll know you're improving. But for me, I prefer no timer, so we're going to rock with that. Now hit apply, and then we're going to hit escape. We're going to go to practice settings, and we're going to turn on no ability cooldown. From here, all we do is turn it on. So what you'll see is the target's moving around, he's strafing in different spots, or she. Your job with Ultron's laser, as you see, it shoots and charges up. You want to be able to hit all of it. So you want to sit here like this. She just slept me. Bro, no way. But yeah, you guys just saw there as well. Now let's try farther range. You want to be able to follow what they're doing. So Mantis is a little easier because she doesn't have the different speed changes. But if I go down here and I switch it over to Luna, now for Luna Snow, you might want to turn on random for movement instead of advanced combat. The reason why is her snowballs are annoying and she doesn't actually do the thing that we want her to do, which that thing is changing her movement speed. And what I mean by changing her movement speed is when she spawns in a second, you'll see that when she strafes for a little while, she'll do a speed up, her little ice skate move. You'll see right here, she's going to ice skate. Well, there we go. See, perfect. See how she changes speeds and then she jumps and then she also jumps higher than normal. This allows for a lot more active aiming because some people, when they aim, they kind of just autopilot like, oh, well, they always move at this speed, so who really cares? With her, she's going to be constantly changing, so you have to pay a lot more attention. So instead of just easy hits, you have to focus a little more. You should be two-shotting still, but once you can sit here and really consistently always hit them and always track them with every shot, then you're going to start playing projectile heroes. And there's a specific order in which you play them, because certain projectile heroes are much harder than others. Now, for the character you pick, it depends here. Some people play projectile heroes that are like Namor. Namor's projectile is a little slow, right? Namor's projectile has drop, right? As you see, the bullet goes down. However, Bucky, you shoot exactly where you're aiming. So your choice here is, do you want mastery in every projectile hero, or do you just want to master the character you're playing? If your answer is the character you're playing, click that character and do this routine. If not, you're going to want to do Bucky first. And as you get better, the same way we did the progression with Ultron, as you got better with Ultron, you switch to Bucky. Then as you get better with Bucky, you switch to Namor, because Namor is the worst of them, right? Bucky at least goes straight to the target. Namor doesn't. Namor drops and does a projectile, making him the hardest, or quote unquote hardest. I mean, realistically, Squirrel Girl is probably the hardest, but I don't know if anyone's doing projectile practice with Squirrel Girl. If you are, I mean, this still works, but you know. And then it's as simple as practicing with them. And when you're practicing with them, your whole job, you use the same playlist that we just talked about, the same old setup, Luna Snow, Mantis, Punisher if you're really bad at it, and random movement, random distance. And your whole goal is, let's say a target spawns in, right? Let's load it up. A target spawns in, your job is track them, right? Tracking them with your crosshair. You're following what they're doing, you're seeing what they're doing. And then all you do, depending on your character, is aim accordingly. So let's say you're aiming here. You know, since I'm this close, I can just click right on her. So I click right on her. Oh, well, I was about to do it and then she flew away from me. Okay, so she's at this distance now. Here, I know I have to lead my shot. So I'm going to lead, right? She changed direction there. I still just keep leading my shots. But here, I know I can shoot more directly at her, so only a slight lead. See, on Bucky, that works. If I do the same thing on Namor now, though, I have to sit here and aim above her slightly. So, oh, well, she jumped over me. Yep, see, that's a headshot. A little to the top right of her instead of just to the right of her. Yes, to the right of her still hits if she's that close like she just was, but it depends. So this is where the character specific comes in. For every character, the main goal is track them first, the same way we did on Ultron, then aim ahead of them depending on what character you're playing. Super fast projectile characters like Moon Knight. Moon Knight, you can aim right at them. See? When she's this close to aiming directly at her, right? His projectiles are very quick. Now, from that range, you have to aim a little bit more leading the shots, but see, super close. Now, this distance, you have to lead a lot more. But all of it is just about what your character is, track the hero that you're trying to shoot, and then shoot ahead of them based on what your character is. And your job is go from short range at normal speed to short range at quick speed, and then short range at super fast speed, accurately aiming at them, and then move up to medium range, normal, quick, super fast, then far range, normal, quick, super fast. Luna Snow, Mantis, Storm, Iron Man, Punisher, all those characters are targets you can use. And as a note, this is not a warm-up. This is practice. If you guys want to warm up, just do short range, medium range, long range, and do normal speed. You don't want to practice super fast speed because it's just not what it's like in a real game. You want to practice normal speed. The point of the super fast speed in practice is because in practice, you want to practice extremes. Like let's say you're training to lift up 500 pounds. For the warm-up to lift up 500 pounds, are you going to lift 600 pounds? Are you going to lift 500? Are you going to lift 400? All of those are probably no. Maybe the 400, right? But you don't want to spend your energy on actually doing it, doing what your goal is. You want to save that energy to try and achieve the goal. So you're going to sit there and warm up with something lighter. And then if you're trying to actually hit the 500 or train for the 500, then you're going to start practicing with heavier weights. You're going to do 450, 430, 470, whatever, and work your way up to that harder difficulty. It's the same thing with if you lift up a dumbbell and then you pick up your phone feels lighter. Your phone's the exact same weight, but relatively it is lighter because you're now used to gripping 40 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever. So now the little tiny phone feels lighter than it really is. This should be more than enough for anyone to master projectile hero aim and honestly, even regular hero aim. And I know I yapped a little, so I hope it's still pretty good, you know? And I hope it all makes sense. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. And if you guys have ever struggled with positioning, check out this video right here. I created my very own rule that makes it impossible to mess up. And if you guys want free stuff, get it before October ends with the link in the description. I love you guys. Have a good one. God bless you.